big ongoing story, and we're getting loads of calls still on this. I'm asking you to call in on another issue about social homes, but no, you get to decide what you call in on. That's the deal. But asking you about this, well, the idea of basically having a citizens' army. This is General Sir Patrick Sanders. Yesterday in a speech, we talked about it on the show yesterday, he's the head of the army. He said that we're going to need British civilians to have to, join the army to fight Russia in a future war. But he did rule out conscription. He didn't mean conscription. He meant a citizens' army. We're going to have to train and equip people, he says, in advance. We just don't have enough. 72,500 fully trained soldiers by 2025 wouldn't be big enough to fight an all-out war with Russia. And we wouldn't have enough even if we had 120,000. We need so many more. So many countries around Europe do actually have a level of conscription, a requirement of national service at some point. We've seen, of course, with the IDF in Israel. Do you want to be a citizen or have dual citizenship? You have to fight in the IDF. That's the deal. Prime Minister was forced yesterday to actually rule out that conscription was the plan. But if we are living in the real world, we're seeing what's happened in Ukraine, we're seeing what's happening in the Middle East, the threat to Taiwan from China, North Korean lunatic in charge with his nuclear weapons. We need to be prepared for every eventuality, and that's going to involve more of us taking up weapons, surely.
Julia, in any modern conflict, if we are involved in it, it's going to be the country, not just the armed forces involved. We've got to actually mobilise our society in relation to these strategic threats from China, Russia and Iran. I think there are better ways of doing it. I understand Patrick's message. The real thing we've seen with Ukraine and Gaza is that our opponents can see the bottom of our lockers.
You've used that phrase before. That's literally, here's what we've got. Oops, it's not very much.
And
we'd have been, if we'd been invaded by Russia, we'd have been out of weaponry, I think, in the second week, wouldn't we? Out of ammunition.
Julia, we've got the best tank trap in Europe. It's called the English Channel.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're part of an alliance, NATO. There's a lot of other countries that do the panzer stuff, Poland, Germany and things like that. We're a maritime nation. We project power from these shores. That's what we have to be able to do.
But we don't have very many warships.
No, we don't. I mean, this is a big issue. And I think now, once people get the message, particularly what's happening in the Red Sea at the moment, we're going to see much better procurement, much better targeted resources.
The trouble with that is it costs a lot of money, and the government hasn't got any money, and we're fed up with being taxed more and more and not getting much for it. And these things take, sometimes like a decade plus to be delivered.
Absolutely. So we've got to look at better ways of projecting and threatening force. And quite frankly, we can buy a lot of cheap drones to actually put pressure on people.
It's amazing how much that technology has been important.
Yeah, but it's been around for a while. It's been around since 1982. But
using it to effect, certainly in Ukraine, and again, much safer for the people operating them as well. Lots of people will say, and I hear this all the time when I talk about Gaza or we talk about Ukraine, you're a warmonger, you're a warmonger. The best way of preventing war is your willingness and your ability to fight a war, surely.
Yeah, absolutely, Julia. I mean, weakness is a provocation. And particularly
to authoritarian governments like Russia and China.
Yeah, that's an absolute provocation. And so we have to say, look, don't come near us. Don't step on us.
Don't mess with us.
Because it's going to be dangerous for you.
But we haven't done that enough. But we haven't done that enough. And NATO certainly hasn't done that enough, because otherwise Russia wouldn't have invaded Ukraine. Everyone says, oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Russia, I'm so fed up with people, experts saying, well, it's been amazing. Russia would never have expected the way that NATO and the EU and everyone would have come together to tackle, to side with Ukraine. No, that's a diplomatic failure. He should have thought that we would have come together, and then he wouldn't have bloody invaded.
Yeah, the whole attitude. I mean, a government minister was on the radio with me in 2014 when they moved against Crimea in the eastern Donbass region. And he pompously said, of course, there's no military aspect to this. It's just diplomatic and economic pressure. Well, you've just given Putin a free pass to do what he wants.
Yeah. Even
if you aren't going to take military action, but we could have raised NATO's alert state. That would have given him a signal. The 3 warships the US Navy had in the Black Sea could have moved closer to Ukraine, but Obama did nothing. So I'm afraid to say that inaction is part of this. And one of the things we have to understand in the modern world is we have to move now from deterrence to defence. And you're absolutely right, Julia. If we are being seen to defend ourselves, properly, then people won't come near us.
And other European nations are doing that. I mean, Poland's taking this very
Yep.
seriously. They've been invaded by Russia before. They know what, and by Germany, they know what that means. And we know in lots of other states they've got conscription. I mean, it's amazing how much the Baltic states take it very seriously, and also the Scandinavian states, because they share borders with Russia. They Finland had territory taken by Russia. They understand.
I mean, if you look at what Patrick Sanders said, the message is absolutely right. But what we can do is much better with our reserves. So what we can do, for example, somebody who's been in the military for 10 years, we say, look, we're going to give you £3,000 a year for the next 5 years. Keep those skills. If we need you, we're going to bring you back in again.
We treat our veterans very badly in this country.
I'm afraid we do.
A lot of them end up on the street. And again, a lot of people also fighting a lot more tours of duty than would normally be expected, one after the other, in Iraq and Afghanistan, who basically were broken by it.
We don't prepare our people properly, Julia. When I first joined the Navy, when I joined the Fleet Air Arm, my first day was taken up with watching really, really horrible operations from the Vietnam War. Bullets being removed from eyes. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, two of the guys said, I can't take this. And they said, fine, you're not going to fly in the Fleet Air Arm. And we said, why are we doing this? And they said, because you're going to be search and rescue pilots. You're going to face this every day. If you cannot take it, then this isn't a job for you.
The realities of war, indeed.